Broadcasting from Detroit's Cass Corridor, it's the Metro on WDET. I'm Tia Graham.
And I'm Robyn Vincent. Today on the show, a text message says you owe for tolls, but Michigan doesn't have any toll roads.
We'll discuss scams known as smishing and more cyber crimes to watch for, and we'll take your calls.
Plus, how can design shape a fairer, more inclusive Detroit? We'll hear from the women-led architecture firms leading that conversation.
And from women-led architecture to Detroit teens designing video games, we'll explore how creative ideas shape more inclusive cities.
But first, what lies ahead for the Detroit Land Bank Authority? There are a few reasons people are asking that question right now. In part, it's because Detroit will soon have a new mayor, and that could signal a different vision for the organization. It's partly because the land bank isn't receiving a subsidy from the city during the 2026 fiscal year, too. And it's partly because of all the changes the land bank has created for the city of Detroit since the authority was created in 2008. Over almost 2 decades, the land bank has sold about 50,000 properties. That's sometimes translated to less blight, more resident control over neighborhoods, and more small-scale development projects. So again, with over 60,000 properties left to be sold, many are asking, what should change about the land bank and what should stay the same? With the general mayoral election a few months away, we have Tammy Daniels here to discuss these things. She's the CEO of the Detroit Land Bank Authority. Tammy, welcome to the Metro.
Good morning, Robyn. Thank you for having me.
So the Detroit Land Bank was founded in 2008. It's been around for a while now. Mm-hmm. I'm wondering, what are the big ways that you've seen it change, that it's changed in 17 years?
So I've been with the Detroit Land Bank since 2015. And when I joined the team, we had in excess of 100, maybe 15,000 properties in our inventory. And we were ramping up all of our sales programs, our quiet title team, our nuisance abatement team. And we were, our side lot, neighborhood lot programs, just trying to figure out how are we going to return all these properties to productive use. We had a demolition program as well. And it has changed because we have perfected many of those programs. Some of those programs have sunset. We no longer do demolition. We are at the end of our structure, our salvageable structure inventory. And we have just in the last 2 years undergone a community-led initiative to figure out what does the next 5 years look like for the Detroit Land Bank. We have a 5-year plan that we have authored that kind of gives us the framework for where the community would like to see us go next. And so our focus is necessarily transitioning to how do we return those 60,000 pieces of vacant land back to productive use and do it in a way that is supportive of neighborhoods, the community, and drives affordable housing in the city, because that is something that is greatly needed. So
the answer to that question, the future of the Land Bank Authority is going to rest on the shoulders of residential input, is what you're saying.
It will be in large part on what residents want to see, and absolutely, as you mentioned, we're transitioning to a new administration, and so the administration will, the land bank is a tool to be used to affect change. How will the new administration, that vision, what do they want to see the land bank, what issues do they want us to tackle? And so it will be absolutely in partnership with the community and the administration that we, change our vision, change our focus, direct our efforts and our energies.
Tammy, you became the interim executive director in 2022. Is that right?
That sounds about right.
Okay.
It seems like such a long time ago, yes.
Why did you want to lead the organization?
So I had, like I said, been with the land bank, and I had served in a number of different roles. But at the heart of my commitment to the organization and why I feel it's so important is that I am a born and raised Detroiter. I was born here. went to high school, went to law school, and I want to see the city be all that it can be for our residents, for the community. And so that is at the cornerstone of why I do the work that I do. When I was asked to take the leadership role, I saw an opportunity to, make some changes, to try and adjust our work and how we do our work to make it more resident focused. Have we always hit that perfect combination of resident focus in our output? No, but we continue to strive to do that. And so again, the reason I took the role is because as someone who was born and raised here, I just want to see the city be as great as it can be. And I feel like the work of the land bank is so crucial in doing that. Returning these 60,000 pieces of vacant property to productive use is so important for the city to be healthy, because we shouldn't have that much property in public ownership.
I'm wondering, when you took the reins, what changes you set out to make, specifically?
So specifically trying to provide more transparency and visibility into what we were doing. So, like our all listings map. It's a map on our website where residents can go on and find out, what does the land bank own? That's a critical change that was made very early on to give residents that opportunity to just see, because there was a great mystery in, what do we own?
I want to stay on that topic for a moment of transparency, because we know that there are criticisms of the land bank not operating in enough transparency. And one thing it makes me think about that I've seen done in other spheres is a dashboard. I'm wondering if you've thought about doing something like that, a dashboard where we can more clearly see the data that you're working with at the land bank.
So we are actually constantly trying to improve our technology to provide greater transparency. And when you say a dashboard, you mean a dashboard where you can see about a single transaction, or about globally, like our impact?
I think what I'm envisioning, so someone goes on the website and they're seeing a lot of the data in a way that feels really accessible.
Okay.
Yep, and it's in real time. Something along those lines. I'm wondering if you've thought about that.
So we do, but every resident is looking for something in particular, and
Sure.
so how do we build something that speaks to specific residents, but also globally covers all the possibilities? Because what I think we've struggled with as a land bank is that we have so many programs. We have created so many programs. We started off with our auction program and a side lot program. We now have our Own and Now program. We have our buying structures by application. We have marketing. We have neighborhood lots. We have Create a Project. And so it is overwhelming. I do understand that for people trying to figure out, like, where do I fit? What program is best for me? How do I capitalize on the best deal?
Yeah.
And so what we've tried to do is, when people come in the door and they say, I want to do X. Well, we say that's probably not the best program for you. And we try to guide them toward what's the best program for them. So the sheer volume of what we do is overwhelming. But as I said, because we're shifting more toward just vacant land, we will be able to, I think, streamline that, and it'll be more accessible and easier, because it'll either be, you want a side lot, you want a neighborhood lot, which, by the way, almost 30,000 of our vacant lots are available online right now for people to buy. And they're for Detroiters. They're either side lots or neighborhood lots. So that's online right now. We do need to do a better job of helping to educate people, like how to navigate all those programs, but they will be shrinking in terms of the different types of programs that we offer, because again, our structure inventory is has shrunk significantly, and we will be focusing and ramping up our efforts on our vacant land and trying to make that more accessible, helping people understand what programs work for them and make that more transparent to purchasers.
As briefly as you can you highlight one of those programs for us? Give us an example of one that you think is really crucial, because I realize you've said that if the land bank were to go away, you worry some of these programs would go away with it. Tell me about one of them that you think is really important.
So the side lot program, that is a program that's like an earmark program for the land bank. It is a program where individuals who own who own property in the city that's occupied, if there is a vacant lot that is immediately adjacent to your house, you can purchase that lot for $100. So all you have to do is go on the website, type in the address, make sure you don't have blight tickets or back taxes, and for $100 you can own the lot next door to you. Without the land bank, the ability to sell lots at $100 en masse goes away.
Mayor Duggan didn't give the land bank any city money to operate for the next fiscal year. And we know you still have millions in reserves. But that was a notable decision. I'm wondering what your reaction to that was and why you think it happened.
So the administration made a recommendation for a smaller subsidy, and then council, through their review of the budget, they made cuts to it. So I did not view it as a reflection of the elimination or that the land bank was not needed. I just understand that there are priorities across the entire city that they have to figure out how they're going to fund all these different priorities. And with the land bank having a reserve, that we, we're not as our need, the need for us is there, but we have a way to sustain ourselves in the short term. Now, will that money last forever? Absolutely not. Will it last long enough for us to sell 60,000 lots? Absolutely not. But in the short term, we are able to sustain ourselves and to continue to offer resources and benefit to the community.
That loss, though, of the city subsidy is having impacts at the Land Bank Authority. I realize the Detroit News reported that you've had to cut around 20 staff members and that you're facing now the reality of lowering operating expenses. So I'm wondering if you can tell me what you see the impacts being on the land bank when it comes to this loss of the subsidy.
So, Robyn, the loss of the subsidy and the impact came at a time when we were already assessing, like we had our 5-year plan. It told us where we needed to go. And some of that loss of human resource, we shed that because we knew we needed to go in a different direction. So, unfortunately, we did have to make those tough choices, but those tough choices clear the way for us to grow in different ways so that when we implement new programs, because our 5-year plan tells us we need to, we can hire the staff to do that. And so, yes, we did have to cut, but it will allow us to grow in the ways that we need to grow, and grow programming and hire highly skilled staff that help us really launch those programs and launch them with, gusto. And so they'll be as impactful as they can, as quickly as they can for the residents of the city.
This is the Metro on WDET. I'm Robyn Vincent. My guest is Tammy Daniels, CEO of the Detroit Land Bank Authority. We're discussing the future of the land bank as Detroit gets ready to elect a new mayor in November. Now, Tammy, yesterday, the CEO of Building Community Value, Chase Cantrell, spoke to us about changes that the land bank should make. Here's what he had to say.
They have put together a proposal for what the land bank could be if it's allowed to actually operate under this new strategic plan. So a new mayor coming in can say, all right, we want to have land and structures more accessible to Detroit residents, right? We want to make it harder for speculators to get land. We want to add more subsidy to the pot so that, local residents can actually make these projects happen more easily.
Okay, so Chase, who is on the advisory panel for the Land Bank's strategic plan, is saying that according to that plan, the Land Bank wants more subsidies to help residents purchase property. It wants land to be more accessible to residents, and it wants to make it harder for those meddling speculators to access land. What does the Land Bank need to make those things a reality?
So a strong partnership with the new administration. That's critical to being able to implement those programs to do exactly what Chase said. Continuing to build strong relationships with community groups, block clubs, community organizations like his to help us understand, the challenges, what the community wants to see, because that evolves over time. And to help us refine our programming to continue to meet the challenges. So I would say the two biggest things that we need in the short term is a strong relationship with the new administration and continuing to build a strong relationship with the community.
And when we think about the incoming administration, of course, I'm thinking about one of two mayoral candidates who will be on the ballot in November, and that's Detroit City Council President Mary Sheffield. She's said in city council meetings that there's not enough transparency or accountability over the land bank as it stands. And so I'm wondering how you envision really building a bridge with her if she becomes the next mayor in order to shift the way that she's seeing the land bank right now.
So Robyn, should she become the mayor, she will absolutely have great influence, control, and impact over the land bank. Yeah. She will set the vision for how the land bank will be used to address whatever her whatever her goals are toward the neighborhoods and housing in the city. And so she will select a new board of directors, which we operate by a board, a 5-member board, and they approve all of our policies. And so all of that happens with a new administration. So she would have great impact over how the land bank, and she can, address those things that she feels is a challenge.
What do you say to the idea of bringing the or at least part of the land bank into the city as a department? I mean, Sheffield has said that she wants the city's housing and revitalization department to handle the buyback program while the land bank clears titles and performs other duties that the city can't do. What do you make of that idea?
So again, the administration sets the tone. So if that's what she would want to do, we will work hand in hand with the administration to do that. We had a much larger inventory of what we call occupied properties that the land bank owned, but they were occupied by individuals, and we created creative programming to try to address that. And the buyback program is one of them, where we reconnect individuals who have a connection with the property with the title. And so we've been successful in over 1,300 instances where we have reconnected previous owners, individuals who were tenants, who were paying rent to someone who didn't own it, reconnected them living in the house with the title to the house. And so we have successfully done that over 1,300 times. That is an extremely successful program, which we are actually planning another graduation in September to invite another close to 100 people to receive the title to the houses that they've been living in. So again, the administration has the power to determine how they want to use the land bank because we are a tool. And so some of the programming, I think we don't want to get rid of because it has been so successful. But there's absolute opportunity to figure out how to refine our programming, how to refine the types of programming that we do, and maybe there are better places in the city for some of this programming to sit.
Working in this sphere, housing, property, community, it feels like you have to really try to please a lot of different people. It feels really political. Did you think when you took the reins at the Land Bank Authority, did you have any idea how political this role would end up being?
Honestly, Robyn, no. The short answer is no. And I'm actually an extremely private person, so operating in this very political environment is a challenge for me personally. But again, I do the job because I believe in the city and I believe in how great it can be, and so we do what we have to do to try to keep the work going and keep the momentum going. But yeah, it's very political, and it's less than ideal for me personally.
I mean, I can't let you go without also acknowledging, some of the complaints that are lobbed against the land bank, in addition to a lack of transparency. One of the big ones is that properties are on hold and they can't be acquired by local residents. Why does that happen? Why do folks sometimes struggle to acquire properties that are near them and held by the land bank?
So the land bank, again, operates as a tool, and at the we follow the lead of the city. So if property is on hold, there is a city department that has put that property on hold, either because there is a project that in that footprint that they are planning for, like in Brightmoor with the water department, or if they have done planning studies in certain areas and they have identified that we have a substantial inventory in that footprint, and it would be great for infill housing, affordable housing. So they'll put it on hold for that. They may have projects like parks or expanding the Joe Louis Greenway. There are a host of reasons why city departments put the request holds of land bank land. And so it is the process. The land bank just doesn't put properties on hold. We get a request from a city department. That request is vetted, and if it is determined that it is in the best interest of that neighborhood and the city to do it, that's when the hold is placed. And so in those cases, the complaint is lobbed at the land bank because we own the land, but the hold is not a land bank hold. It's a city hold.
So there's no magic wand here that the land bank is able to hold and say, here you go. Here's that property. You're working across many departments and with many different city officials and administration in order to release this land, in order to distribute it to folks.
Absolutely. The land bank doesn't hold land. Our sole purpose is to return it to productive use. And so again, we have to work in partnership with the city to determine what is the best and highest use for land. And so, again, holds are, I know they're frustrating for residents, but sometimes, they are for things that are for the greater good of that community. And it just, it's unfortunate. They blame the land bank because we own the land, but the hold it's not our decision.
Tammy Daniels is the CEO of the Detroit Land Bank Authority. Tammy, thank you so much for joining us on the Metro.
Thank you so much, Robyn, for having me. It's a pleasure.
Coming up here on the Metro, text message scams and cyber crimes are on the rise. Maybe you're one of the thousands who've received a suspicious text about unpaid traffic tickets. Well, you're not alone. Last year in Michigan, cyber scams and fraud accounted for over $100 million in reported losses. An overwhelming majority of the victims were senior citizens. We'll speak with a cybersecurity expert about how to spot scams and stay cyber safe. And we're opening up the phone lines. Have you or someone you know been a victim of online or texting scams? We want to hear your story. The number is 313-577-1019, and the phone lines are open. That's all next here on the Metro. Stay with us.